Recording in progress.
All right. Roll call. Counselor Nolan?
Present.
Counselor Rosenthal?
Present.
Counselor Simpson?
Can you mute?
Is that okay now?
It was muted.
But
Yeah, it's muted too.
Oh, it's better now. It was your computer.
Yeah.
Okay. Counselor Simpson?
I'm here, sir. Morning.
All right. And Counselor Gonzalez?
Morning.
And Deputy President.
Just realized I was
Luz.
present. Thank you. Before we get to our agenda items, please, we're going to take a moment for our safety video.
I'm Jason, and I'm an event production manager. Here at the Portland 5 Centers for the Arts, safety is our #1 priority, not only for our guests, but for our staff members. I'm at the Portland 5 Centers for the Arts, and you're at the Metro Regional Center. The council chambers are located on the 3rd floor. In the event of a fire or fire alarm, please exit through the door in the northeast corner of the room. Go down the stairway to the 2nd floor, exit through the main entrance by the reception desk, and gather in the courtyard outside that entrance. In the event of a medical or fire emergency, please call 911 and notify the security agent at the reception desk. The nearest defibrillator is mounted on the steps leading from the reception desk down to Grand Avenue. Thank you, and come visit us at Portland 5.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to go to our agenda item of public communication on non-agenda items. Could you please describe for the audience our procedures for public communication portion of the meeting?
If anyone wishes to testify on non-agenda items, now is the time to do so. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. I will manage the timer to go off at the 3-minute mark. If you have not already signed up to speak, you can do so now. If you are joining us on Zoom, you can sign up to testify by raising your hand on Zoom. Depending on your version of Zoom, the raise hand function has its own tab or is located within the reactions tab. Those calling in can raise their hands by dialing *9. If you're joining us in person, you can sign up by filling out one of the blue cards in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. For those joining us on Zoom, I will promote you to full panelist when it's your turn to testify. I will call your name or phone number when it's your turn to testify, and a window will appear asking you to accept being promoted to a panelist. Once you click to accept, your Zoom will close for just a brief moment before you join as a panelist, where you'll be able to turn on your camera if you like. As a reminder, you do not need to give your physical address. However, please introduce yourself for the record before testifying.
Wonderful. We're going to begin today with Malcolm Ricks. Go ahead, please go to either desk and speak into the microphone. Your time will begin as you begin.
For the record, my name is Malcolm Ricks with my brother's keeper. Council President and members of the council. Good morning. I represent my brother's keeper. We're currently contracted with Metro. We're a part of the people difficult. We clean up homeless camps. We clean up the people who on the side of the road. Our people have been doing that for about a year and a half. We believe keeping us in place. Our contract is coming to an end at the end of June. I'm here to try to get the contract extended for our team to continue to work with each of the great ones. We're doing the job we should be an organization from Team Management who's actively trying to keep our team working. President, the Metro, and the opportunity to actually together to keep food on their hands, plates, and be working. Gotcha. That's what I'm here for. The team has made an improvement. They're working with the Metro team, and we're trying to figure out how we can get right about just under $500,000 a year, $480,000, to extend my team for another year. And that's my name. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry for this weird buzzing noise. Appreciate your comments. We heard them. Next up will be Sheila Harris.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Sheila Harris, and I'm also here on behalf of my brother's keeper. Yeah, I am the co-president. Okay. Good morning, Council President and members of the Council. I'm here to offer an alternative to Mr. Riddick's budget to be considered as well. Currently, it's MPK and Central City Concern that is doing the real work. And MPK has one team, Central City Concern has two teams. And I'm asking that if you could reconsider the budget to have one team for MPK and one team for Central City Concern. This arrangement would ensure a balanced approach in retaining community support from both organizations. MPK being a owner and Black re-entry opportunity plays a crucial role in the community. Including MPK in your budget would demonstrate your continued commitment to supporting diverse business and re-entry programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to testify, Tony Jones, please.
Good morning, Metro Councilors. My name is Tony Jones. I'm the Chair of Economic Development for the Coalition of Black Men. We are a 30-year organization with programs in mentoring, health and wellness, and economic development for Black households. I'm here to request the Metro Council to increase the waste prevention and environmental services budget by $400,000 to allow it to add back a cleanup component that allows for contracting with a co-bid certified African-American contractor, My Brother's Keeper. Providing this investment ensures that Metro has an equity component in this department that includes contracting to an MBE business. It appears that several years ago, the waste prevention and environmental services budget was between $2 million or up to $3 million toward waste prevention. As I currently understand it, the budget for this work is around $875,000. This is a significant reduction from prior budgets. Metro's strategy is notable on several fronts. Metro is working to reduce litter, which clean up our soil, stormwater, and water supply. Metro is working to provide workforce opportunities to unemployed workers and contracts with Central City Concern for a portion of the cleanup. MBK has successfully contracted with the waste prevention team between 2022 and 2024. Contracting with a Black-owned MBE business has key advantages the other strategies do not address. Metro supports a Black business, which contributes to the community as an additional long-term living wage employment entity. MBK will continue to seek other litter removal contracts and grow as a private business, which helps our economy. MBK has a primary focus of employing residents with a formal legal history, therefore working to provide living wage opportunities to these workers. We know that Black and BIPOC residents are disproportionately incarcerated or are low income at a higher rate than our white counterparts. Black and BIPOC workers gain an intrinsic value of seeing someone like themselves as a business owner. It sets a foundation for the workers that they can become managers and owners. I urge you to provide this increase to the waste prevention and environmental services budget. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the final card I have is Gilbert Brumfield. Is Gilbert online? Oh.
For the record, my name is Malcolm Ricks again. Gilbert isn't here yet. Tony brought something up that I'd like to add to my testimony from a moment ago. Every year in MBK, we have a Bring Your Child to Work opportunity, where any of the employees of My Brother's Keeper can bring their children in to see what it's like to own and run a Black-owned, Black-operated business, to to be a business owner. To see it is to have the opportunity to do it. Whether my employees or our employees, our team members, ever choose to open up their business, it opens the door for their kids to say, hey, guess what? I might be able to do this too, regardless of what their parents have gone through. I just needed to add that.
Thank you. Thank you to the four of you for coming. Is there anybody else here in the room who'd like to provide testimony or online? I'm seeing one hand from Robin. No, maybe an accidental hand. Councilor Nolan? No, okay. With that, I will first thank the three of you for being here. We will have a point in our agenda today where we will discuss budget, and we will probably have a conversation about your request top of mind since you brought it before us today. So thank you very much, not only for the testimony to what you've been doing and the work, particularly this letter recommendation, but also the potential ways to adjust the budget for us to discuss. So thank you.
I know I'm out of order, but would you have questions for us, or should we stay? Or?
You're welcome to stay. I don't believe we'll have questions for you.
Okay.
Colleagues, anybody have a question right now? No questions for you.
Madam Chair, not a question, but I want to join you in thanking them for bringing this to our attention.
Okay.
Yeah. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to go about your day. You're busy people. This is being recorded. You can fast forward on the Zoom later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. With that, I am going to close public communication for the day and move us to our consent agenda. Today's consent agenda consists of 3 items. Item 3.1 is consideration of April 11, 2024 council meeting minutes. Item 3.2, consideration of April 25, 2024 council meeting minutes. 3.3 item is resolution 245399 for the purpose of adopting the fiscal year 24-25 Unified Planning Work Program and certifying that the Portland metropolitan area is in compliance with federal transportation planning requirements. I would call for a motion on the consent agenda.
I move adoption of the consent agenda.
Call for a second.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Nolan with a second from Councilor Gonzalez. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Unanimous support for today's consent agenda. We'll move us forward in our agenda to the resolutions. Item 4.1 is Resolution 245416 for the purpose of adopting the Metro Investment Policy for fiscal year 23-24. And is that really 23-24? 24-25?
That's correct.
23? Okay, correct. Great. Oregon Revised Statute 294 requires Metro Council to annually review and re-adopt the investment policy. With us today is Brian Kennedy, our Chief Financial Officer, for a brief presentation.
Thank you, Councilor Lewis, Metro Councilors. My name is Brian Kennedy. I use he, him pronouns. I am the Chief Financial Officer for Metro. Resolution 24-5416 is Metro's annual readoption of the investment policy. As a reminder, Oregon law requires that policy to be readopted annually, even if there are no changes. Oregon law requires to invest in securities with a maturity of longer than 18 months, which we do. The first objective of our policy, just as a reminder, is safety, protection of principal. So our goal is to generate return, to fund Metro operations, but in a way that doesn't jeopardize the underlying investments. Our second priority is liquidity. We want to make sure that we always have the cash in hand to pay our bills. We also have an objective in the policy around responsibility to make sure that our investments align with the Metro values, and there are a number of different ways that we make that happen. Overall, I just want to remind everyone, this is our annual readoption. There are no changes to the policy. This is a required action by council every year, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Colleagues, any questions? I have one. My understanding is that the window of investments that's allowed is 18 months to 36 months unless you're working on specific capital projects. With the passage of the ZOO measure, do those potential investments change where we want to be with this policy going forward?
Councillor Lewis, we can invest in securities with maturities up to 5 years. And generally, we try to time our investments with the underlying cash flow. So when we're investing bond proceeds, if they're general obligation bonds, which generally have a requirement that you're spending, if they're tax-exempt general obligation bonds, the proceeds within 3 years. So we would not invest those out longer than 3 years. The things that we invest out with a longer time horizon are reserves we're holding for kind of capital projects long into the future. But we have someone on my team that works with the departments to kind of review the cash flows for various funds to make sure that we're trying to align our cash flow needs with those cash reserves so that we can get the best possible return. So with the zoo bond, we're not planning on issuing bonds until next year. We would invest those, but again, we would be working closely with the zoo capital project managers to make sure that we have the cash ready at the time that they will need in order to execute those projects.
Wonderful, thank you. Very excited about the prospect of having those funds for the next 12 to 15 years. Any other questions? With that, I definitely take a motion.
I will move adoption.
I have a motion for. Okay, thank you. 245416 was moved by Councilor Rosenthal with a second from Councilor Nolan. Seeing no further discussion, could there be a roll call, please?
Yes. Councillor Rosenthal?
Aye.
Councillor Simpson?
Aye.
Councillor Nolan?
Yes.
Councillor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councillor Lewis?
Aye. Thank you, Council. I'm going to move us forward to Resolution 245317 for the purpose of approving 2023 Nature and Neighborhood Community Stewardship and Restoration Community Grants. For nearly 2 decades, Metro has provided funding for grants to community groups, nonprofits, and other organizations. This program is designed to support and create partnerships in local communities that improve water quality, fish and wildlife habitat, and connect people with nature. With us today, we have Carissa Lowe, our Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grant Manager, and I don't see Kim, but I do see John Blasher, our Director of Parks and Nature. Is Kim online?
Kim is actually.
You're here. Hi. You don't have to come forward unless we need you. Thank you for being here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Council President and Councilors. John Blasher, EMIS, Parks and Nature Director. Here today we took off a presentation about a recent round of levy-funded nature neighborhoods.
Can you introduce yourself again? For
John Blasher, EMIS, Parks and Nature Director here at Metro. Here to talk about our recent round of levy-funded nature neighborhoods grants, and we'll be seeking your approval on these potential grant awards. As mentioned, joined here today by Carissa Lowe, Program Manager for the program. We also have a review committee member, Kim Hack-Davidson, who will be coming up, and we also have some representatives from some of the grant programs that I believe will be coming up. Andrew Mason from the Land Falls Trust, and we'll have a representative from our Community Partners for Affordable Housing Incorporated. We can go to the next slide, please. As a reminder, these grants are funded and guided by the policy direction in the Natural Areas Levy Renewal from 2018 to 2023. Metro awarded almost $4 million in two nature neighborhoods grants, community grants categories. Those are nature education and outreach grants and community stewardship and restoration grants. Voters renewed the levy in 2022. This gives us another 5 years of funding this incredible work. So we appreciate you as councilors and the voters for continuing to support this program and our other levy-funded programs. You can go to the next slide, please. Also wanted to highlight how these grants are informed by Metro Council's policy direction for the adopted racial equity strategy and the Parks and Nature's equity plan. In accordance with this policy direction, the Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grants program helps to fund projects which are designed and led by and for the benefit of Black, Indigenous communities and communities of color and other historically marginalized and continually marginalized groups. It's an emphasis on building transformational partnerships for the future, developing more diverse conservation workforce and leaders, and helping to connect communities to nature in more culturally responsive ways. We're really excited for this program. We can go to the next slide. And I'm going to pass it now over to Carissa to talk more about the program and all the details.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John, and thank you, counselors, for making time to meet with us today. We have a great slate of applications before you for your approval, so I'm just going to give you a little bit more background about the program and then hand it over to Kim to share about the review committee experience. But so the Nature and Neighborhoods Community Stewardship and Restoration Program's grant program purpose is to create and support partnerships in local communities that improve water quality, fish and wildlife habitat, and connect people with nature. Next slide, please. This program also has 3 goals, and in order to be eligible for the program, an application has to meet both the program's purpose and at least 1 goal, but in order to be truly competitive, they have to meet all 3 goals in a really solid way, and that's reflected in the slate of grants that you see before you today. So the 3 goals for the restoration grants are Goal 1, improve water quality, fish and wildlife habitat. Goal 2, community partnerships, collaboration, and accountability. And Goal 3, economic and environmental equity. Next slide, please. So this is the grants committee that we had for this year. Also, I just want to flag, I know that we're calling these the 2023 grants review, grants, and in case anyone's wondering, but we're in 2024. Well, the funding opportunity started in 2023, and we're having another round of funding in the fall. So that's why these are the 2023 grants. But just in case anyone was being bothered by that. Anyway. Every year, environmental nonprofits, culturally specific and community-based organizations, and other grant makers shape the Nature and Neighborhoods community grants, both through initial stakeholder engagement and via participation in the peer review committee. And now I'm going to turn it over to review committee member Kim Hack-Davidson of the Columbia Gorge Stewardship Network. Kim, would you like to join us?
Yes, I'd love to. Hello.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, it's wonderful to meet you all. So my name's Kim Hack-Davidson, and I was a committee member reviewing these grant applications. And I'm also the network coordinator for the Columbia River Gorge Stewardship Network, and we're a collaborative that works across government agencies, nonprofits, and tribal entities to improve equitable recreational opportunities and steward cultural and natural resources. So I just want to voice my wholehearted support for these projects and really emphasize the value this work will bring to our communities and the environment. And they're just not just worthy investments, but really good deals. I only wish, like many of you, there were more funds for these projects and other applicants. The committee that reviewed these applications brought a wealth of experiences and lived experience, and truly they gave a lot of passion and care in reviewing these projects, and I do want to thank Metro staff for making this such a smooth process. There was a pool of very strong proposals, and the committee had quite the challenge finalizing the list of projects. The top projects spoke strongly of partnerships and strengthening connections and relationships within communities, across communities, and with nature. Many of these projects were Indigenous-led and focused on first foods. Many of them were also focused on youth mentorship and workforce development. Some of these projects allowed for stewardship right at people's homes, while others support restoration at a regional scale. I do want to commend Metro and staff for working to make these programs not just about restoration of our environment, but restoration of and even healing for our communities. It'll be exciting to watch these projects come to be, and I know the greatest benefit will be of future generations. And I just want to thank you again for continuing this investment in the Nature and the Neighborhoods program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. In this year's review committee included both folks like Kim, who are first-timers on the review committee, and we had some folks who have served on previous review committees and wanted to come back and be a part of the process again this year. Next slide, please. So now we get to the fun part of the presentation, where we share the 2023 grant recommendations. Just some quick statistics about this year's slate of applications. We received both more applications this year than the last time we ran a community stewardship and restoration funding opportunity. And we also, on average, received much larger proposals than we have historically. So that indicates increased interest in this program on multiple fronts. This year, we received 42 pre-applications totaling $3,361,521 in funding requests. The review committee reviewed those proposals and invited 17 organizations to submit a full proposal, and that was a total of $1,445,220 in funding requests. One of the invited organizations had some staffing changes and was unable to submit a full proposal, so they reviewed 16 full proposals requesting a total of $1,395,220 in funding requests. And we have $750,000 available for this project, or for this program. So they have brought you 9 grants for a total of $750,000 in funding. And you'll find more details about them in Exhibit A of the resolution before you. And now if I can get the next slide, please. I'll share a little bit more about our recommendations for this year. So this is the Seven Waters Canoe family. And our recommendation is a grant of $75,000 to the Seven Waters Canoe family to work with partners to do restoration work, including removing invasive species, planting native species, cleaning up trash and debris. Much of the work will be done in riparian areas that can be accessed from the Seven Waters Canoe family's big canoes in order to incorporate culturally specific ways of interacting with the land and the water. This project will also have special public volunteer days with the goal of creating long-term stewardship of sites across the land, site visits, educational hikes or nature walks, and more. Next slide, please. All right, I believe we have Natalie Thornton online from this organization who was going to share a bit about this project. We're recommending a grant of $75,000 to Community Partners for Affordable Housing, Inc. And that will be a grant for Olson Woods, which is an affordable housing property in Tigard with a wetland and a forest site on site. This project will restore wildlife habitat to improve soil and water quality, provide hands-on nature stewardship opportunities for low-income residents, and STEM education for children. Also, I'm sorry to throw this at you without more lead up. Do we have Natalie?
I'm not.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there.
Oh, huzzah! Thank you so much. I think I heard her.
Hi, everyone. This is Natalie Thornton with Community Partners for Affordable Housing. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
We hear you.
Great. Thank you all for the opportunity to talk a little bit about our project today. Like I said, my name is Natalie. I use she, her pronouns. I am with SEPA as the Asset Program Manager there. SEPA has been providing affordable housing and services to residents of Washington County and Southwest Portland for over 30 years now. And Olson Woods, part of which is pictured here, is one of many projects in our portfolio, and a pretty unique one in that it combines both deeply affordable housing for large, extremely low income families with an on-site wetland and forested area. This project will be a deeply collaborative effort with our partners, Home Builders Foundation and Tualatin Riverkeepers. And TRK was actually pictured in the first photo on the slides that Carissa pulled up. So we're excited about that partnership, which will help with both the mitigation portion of this project as well as the STEM education for youth. I received a question via the chat about whether I know my camera is off. I do not have an option to turn on my camera, unfortunately.
You're fine. Keep going. Thank you for being here. We can hear you.
Of course. Great. Thank you. So We will be continuing through this grant the mitigation work that we have been doing to remove invasive species from the wetland and forested area, and then also introduce additional native species. And that will both increase the habitat quality and soil quality in the wetland and forested area, as well as provide increased opportunities for engagement with nature for residents who have this wonderful resource right in their backyard. We will be doing engagement sessions with the residents who are all low income, some of which are also extremely low income and disproportionately Black, Indigenous people of color, to learn from them what they would like to see through the restoration of the walking path, and therefore increase their awareness of the importance of this habitat and also their access to it and engagement with it. We'll also be working with Tualatin River Keepers to provide hands-on STEM education to the youth that live on site and participate in SEPA's no-cost summer youth program. Thank you again for the opportunity to share a little bit about this project. I'm so excited that we've received this grant and can continue this essential work. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much. And thank you, team, for pivoting so well and getting her on. Next slide, please. Confluence. All right, our next organization we recommend is a grant of $98,270 to Confluence to support work with multiple Indigenous partners to create a Sandy River Delta stewardship plan that tends to the well-being of both the habitat and Native communities, including enhancement of Wapato and cattail populations. Confluence and its partners seek to elevate Indigenous traditional, ecological, and cultural knowledge to augment restoration strategies based in traditional Western scientific knowledge and restoration models at the Delta. They hope to see the gains that can be made over time by working from an understanding of the inseparable relationship between people and the environment, one based in reciprocity instead of just statistics. Next slide, please. Our next grant that we recommend is a grant of $75,000 to DePave for the Morning Star Church Nature Space. DePave will transform 18,000 square feet of pavement into new green space with food gardens, trees, native landscaping, gathering spaces, and a nature playground at the Morning Star Church to mitigate flooding and urban heat, sequester carbon, and benefit diverse communities. Next slide, please. All right, next up we have Friends of Trees. And we recommend a grant of $74,950 to Friends of Trees. This cross-organizational collaboration between Friends of Trees, Connecting Canopies, the Blueprint Foundation, and Portland Opportunities Industrialization Center's workforce programs will train youth and adult interns to assess and care for hundreds of trees in lower-income neighborhoods in East Multnomah County. Next slide, please. Next up, we have Friends of Tryon Creek. We recommend a grant of $100,000 to Friends of Tryon Creek to improve fish and wildlife habitat at the Tryon Creek State Natural Area, guided by a new cultural restoration plan based on Indigenous knowledge and practice and fostering Indigenous cultural revitalization, and implemented with the help of Indigenous practitioners, community members, and BIPOC interns developing their careers. Next slide, please. We also recommend a grant of $75,000 to Peninsula Elementary School to create a green schoolyard by depaving an underused portion of the blacktop and replacing it with a schoolyard habitat and an accessible STEAM lab and nature play area. The school and neighborhood communities will be engaged in the design, site build, planting the habitat, creating artistic elements, and ongoing stewardship. The green schoolyard will transform concrete and chain link fence into a quality outdoor learning area that provides easy access to nature for students and the neighborhood communities. Next slide, please. We also recommend a grant to Verde of $76,780 to install 24 to 26 rain gardens and naturescapes offer education and maintenance support for low-income and BIPOC homeowners in North Portland, and to provide hands-on experience to youth, youth and adult interns, and community members. Installing naturescapes and rain gardens supports watershed health, biodiversity, stormwater management, improved air quality, healthier soil, it reduces water and sewer bills, and has more benefits. The process involves identifying potential homeowners, conducting outreach, selecting properties, performing percolation tests, and securing landowner agreements. Clients actively participate in choosing the rain garden location and suitable plants, and they may join in the installation. Up to 4 follow-up visits are then conducted throughout the first year to ensure the urban habitats are thriving and that homeowners understand long-term maintenance. Next up, we recommend a grant of $100,000 to the Willamette Falls Trust. And we have Andrew Mason joining us in person, and also Derek Red Arrow is joining us virtually. And they'll speak more about this wonderful project.
Thanks. Thanks for the time and for committee members in doing the review on this one. And I'll just briefly say, in terms of a project update here, we're working on restoring habitat, water quality, and the air quality at Willamette Falls, a sacred site to many tribes. Our organization is led by tribal council appointees from 4 sovereign nations: the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakama Nation, the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians, the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, and the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. And we're developing a planning level habitat and water resources report and Class 5 cost estimate for the project area, a culturally relevant conceptual landscape design that indicates areas for native plant displays, fish harvesting and cleaning areas, interpretation, and outdoor amenities for the general public and for tribal use, and also continued public engagement activities that ensure that Indigenous perspectives are centered in the activities that we're doing out there. So developing plans for, as you all know, a very complex site that is going to require a lot of ongoing attention to bring everything together there. And I think that I'll then defer to Derek Red Arrow Frank, who is our Tribal Affairs Director as well, who's online.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
We hear you, thank you.
Perfect. Well, Tatsumewi, Katsiyayo, Ian Winnie Kesa, Derek Siapil. Hello, good morning. My name is Derek Red Arrow Frank. I am here representing the tribes. The tribes I represent are Warm Springs, Umatilla, Siletz, and Yakama Nation. And they all have put a lot of effort, voluntary effort, to collaborate together for this project. Now, receiving these funds means a lot because it represents a stepping stone to the actual project of providing public access for future generations. And it's funny because I live in Yakima, and whenever I come down to visit the falls, I drive through the Columbia Gorge. And when I go through the Columbia Gorge, I see things like Celilo Falls. I see a sign for Celilo Falls, but you don't see it. You don't know where it's at. I've never seen it, but I hear stories about it. And there's a lot of sites like that throughout the Columbia Gorge. Willamette Falls represents something different. But Willamette Falls is already available. We can see it if we can get to it. And so that's the narrative of this project, is to slowly start redeveloping and rehealing this space so that it can be, once again, just another sacred space for future generations to go to tell stories, to share narratives, whether that be native or non-native. Our project hopes to hone all of those stories into one project. So even this grant, whether it's small and it allows us to plant historical plants that have been eliminated. I know for firsthand that the tribes are so excited to see the reintroduction of plants like dogbane. That has so much historical and cultural significance to these tribes that they are in celebration that this is actually happening. And again, that this represents the stepping stone to the actual project that we do hope that comes to fruition here. Again, I just want to say thank you from myself, as a tribal member, as a Nez Perce tribal member, and through the 4 tribes that I represent, which are Siletz, Warm Springs, Umatilla, and the Yakima Nation. Again, Katsiaya, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Derek, and thank you, Andrew. All right, next slide, please. I want to thank my team.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, before they leave, may I say something?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Councilor
Yes,
Nolan.
you, before you leave. Well, maybe it's too late. I understand that what you've heard in the time you've been with us has been a little dry. But I want you to appreciate that this is the culmination of volunteer work, nonprofit organizations, making choices, bending a little bit to determine what combination of grants best serves the community. It's hard to experience all of that in one hearing, but I just wanted to make sure you walk away from here with an appreciation of the complexity and the rainbow and the diversity and the texture of what happens in this room and in the rooms of our advisory committee members. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy the day.
Oh, and also PSU, if anyone's interested in being on a review committee, we're always looking for new folks, both for my program and for other programs. So if you're like, wow, this seems amazing, reach out. We'd love to find an opportunity to get your voice into the room.
Yep, thank you.
For the indulgence.
Enjoy your tour. We'll see you again later.
All right. So speaking of how it takes a village, this is the team. I also want to give an extra shout out to my fellow program managers, Gabrielle Brown and Tara Sonali Miller. They both stepped up and helped out with my review committees. We had significant volume of applications, so I needed help facilitating all the breakout groups. Also, our administrative assistant, Renee Ingram, has been an incredible asset throughout this process and works very hard for all the programs, so I want to make sure her work is recognized. Next slide, please. All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments for me?
Colleagues, questions? Wow, you gave us a thorough staff report and a presentation here today. So I have one. We are obviously just now getting to the point where we're concluding the round that began in 23, and as you mentioned, you'll begin again in the fall for next year. On top of these project-based grants, we also have capital-based grants. Can you talk about how those two cycles ebb and flow with each other?
You know, that's something that the team is going to be navigating this year. We've noticed that for this year's round, the different programs were a little bit kind of on top of each other and close together, and that's hard on staff and it's hard on our community partners. So our manager Elizabeth has actually planned like a team retreat to get together and really strategize how each program's going to hit during the wheel of the year so that it's a better flow for everyone.
Great, thank you. I'm glad you're already on it.
Well, Elizabeth is.
Well, great minds think alike, Elizabeth. Anything else from folks? Nice. I should take a moment and acknowledge before we get to a decision point that I do serve in an ex officio capacity on one of these nonprofit boards, that is the Willamette Falls Trust. Carrie, do I need to say anything else?
No, Councilor Lewis, you serve in that capacity. One is ex officio, you're not voting. Two, it's a nonprofit service board, and that is exempt from the ethics laws. I think it's good to enunciate as you have here, just for general knowledge, but that there are no ethics issues that need to be addressed.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions? If not, I would definitely call for a motion for resolution 245317.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion moved by Councilor Simpson with a second from Councilor Rosenthal. See no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilor Nolan?
Yes.
Councilor Rosenthal?
Aye.
Councilor Simpson?
Aye.
Counselor Lewis.
Aye. Thank you so much. That's a lot of good work going on in the community and a lot of work behind the scenes to get us here. Thank you. And thank you to our partners who joined us today. Good to see you, Andrew.
Thank you, counselors.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to take a deviation from my script just to recognize that Andrew Mason has been serving as president for 5 years, 6 years, and will be moving on from the organization. I wanted to just personally thank him for his leadership. He raised his hand to say he would start this organization, and he guided it through COVID, stayed longer than he meant to, maybe when he started, so thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have ordinances. Ordinance 24-1511 for the purpose of annexing to the Metro District boundary approximately 203.79 acres located in the Carver area of Happy Valley, north of 224 and south of Southeast Eckert Lane. This is the second reading and vote. Our first reading was held on May 9th, and we received no public testimony, either in person or written. Is Roger here? Roger online?
No, he's over there.
Oh, there's Roger. Oh, great. Anybody have any questions for Roger? Seeing no questions, I'd entertain a motion, and again, this is a motion to pass 24-1511.
I move to adopt 24-1511. Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Rosenthal with a second by Councilor Simpson. No further discussion. Roll call, please.
Counselor Simpson?
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal?
Aye.
Counselor Nolan?
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez?
Aye.
Counselor Lewis?
Aye. Unanimous support for that resolution. Welcome into the Metro boundary to those few folks who are now joining Metro boundary. We are now going to move on to item 6.1, which is our discussion of the 24-25 approved budget. So we have time as counselors to discuss our agenda of moving forward with the budget. We will have time for questions for staff as well as discussion amongst ourselves. The vote to adopt the budget is currently scheduled for June 13th, 2024. Andrew Scott, our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, and Brian Kennedy, our Chief Financial Officer, are both with us today if we have questions. Counselors, do you have any questions for staff or more information to share as we develop our budget amendments and maybe in particular reflect on what we heard during the earlier comments?
A quick clarification, Madam Chair. Yes. Budget amendments will be voted on the 13th as well, and then if any amendments are approved, then we'll entertain the amended budget at that time.
Councilor Nolan, the schedule actually calls for the budget amendment for council to vote on which amendments and notes to add to the budget the week prior. And then the vote on the 13th will be the budget as amended as appropriate.
Thanks for clarifying. Okay, that's good.
And the amendment schedule was sent at the beginning of budget season with those separate dates for the amendments on top of the regular budget.
And it has been in the forefront of my mind every morning since then, except this morning.
Counselor.
Thank you, Counselor. You're not President.
Just Counselor.
Just Counselor. I want to tap in on what we heard earlier with Mr. Jones and Mr. Ricks and Ms. Sheila, that piece in their request, and help us kind of walk us through, Brian, if you can, the feasibility of Mr. Jones's request. If, you know, how does that fall?
Councilor Simpson, first, an acknowledgement that I have a lot of numbers in my head. I do not have the amount that WPES has budgeted for cleanup activities in my head. So I think we'll have to get back to you with that information. I think if council wants to do something different, that is, you know, we can come back with that information and council could consider making a change there. The other thing is in the budget process, we don't typically, other than the list of council special appropriations, when we approve budgets for, say, contracted professional services or contracted property services. We don't specify the firm that is going to as part of the budget. So that would be kind of, to the extent council wanted to do that, that would be a departure, and we might recommend some different processes to do that. But I think that probably the most appropriate thing would be at the next opportunity where we discuss this, to have someone from WPES come and talk about what they have, the amount they have in their budget, their plans for that for next fiscal year. And then I think that could inform future council action.
Thank you. Councilor Nolan.
Oh, are you following up?
No, I thought Andrew
Okay.
was.
No, I was.
I had my computer off, but I was in Zoom. No, I think that's right, and I think we do have staff that I can have follow on this process. So again, so what Brian said in terms of talking about next steps that council uses on, so I'll set that up right away afterwards.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for the testimony today. I see the points you raised as bringing really two distinct but related issues forward. One is the particular disposition of the award of a contract following the RFP. And then the second is the total budget amount of what the council wishes to invest in the kinds of services that are met by the contracts that the contractor that was selected and the contracts we already have. And I'd like an opportunity, and tell us whether the 7th or the 6th or the 13th is the right time to have it. You've raised points about our vocal commitment to communities of color in our region, and particularly to follow through and be energetic about our commitment to supporting BIPOC workforces and BIPOC business owners, and the opportunity that business ownership gives BIPOC individuals and families and groups to accumulate wealth locally. And I think, maybe not on the 6th or even the 13th, but there should be, I think that's a topic itself that warrants further discussion by this council. And whether this council, people have already mentioned expanding our C2P2 program, for example, to other kinds of businesses. And I see that as meaning not just occasionally making grants, but really leaning in to providing technical and business support and advice to help local companies, particularly those owned and operated by people in the BIPOC community. The kind of opportunity that, I don't know your history, but many BIPOC people who start businesses don't have a family model in their history that shows them what it means to own a business and shows them what it means to be responsible for allowing their workers to put food on their kids' table. And I think there's more we can do in that space to help that succeed. I don't think we can do it in the next week or two, but it's a conversation that I would like to advance and get some staff support for. I don't know if I'm prepared to propose an increase in the funding for RID services and other services that would have supported, that currently are supporting your contract and might extend it. But that is a budget discussion to move forward on. And the final thing I would say is I really appreciate that you have brought to our attention perhaps some need to recommit to some of the values that we hold and we say we hold. And make sure that we are providing resources within Metro to make affirmative outreach to BIPOC business owners in the community, to coalitions that support them, so that we aren't just willing to contract with BIPOC-owned businesses, but we are finding ways to help BIPOC businesses be ready to take on all the responsibilities that it means to be successful in contracting. That's something that this council, that's properly before this council. The choice of a specific contractor within the guidelines Metro Council gives them is not really a council decision. It's a staff decision.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, I guess from my perspective, it is several different conversations. One is what do we do in the immediate when it comes to a budget conversation, making the transition from this year to next year. The second is looking at what I would call assertive engagement. You know, you mentioned outreach, but in particular, not just notifying folks of an RFP, but also assertively engaging with folks who we already have a relationship with. It sounds to me like we maybe missed an opportunity there this go round. So I'd like to, you know, work with folks in procurement to have an assertive engagement model. And then finally, I do think in addition to this one budget and this one department, it's a more global conversation around what workforce development goals can be met through an agency program. So I'd be ready to, I guess, kind of two models were presented or suggested during public testimony today. I am not interested in trying to micromanage awards that have potentially already been awarded. I am interested in potentially bringing more resource for more opportunity. And as council, we can discuss what that right number is and hopefully find it in other places in the budget.
I would join you in asking our staff to shake out the couch cushions.
I think it's called reserves, Counselor. We don't have couch cushions, we have reserves.
I know you're not a magician, although sometimes what you produce and your team produces seems like magic. But I join you in asking if we, and the department itself, in whether there is any flexibility. And if the answer is no, the answer is no, but I certainly want us to look again.
Spot on.
Okay. Any further discussion, ponderances amongst ourselves? Okay, I am going to move us forward then because we do have the opportunity for a public hearing on this budget. I will now open the public hearing on FY 24-25 approved budgets. And can we please go over the procedures for public hearing?
If anyone wishes to testify on fiscal year 2024-2025 approved budget, now is the time to do so. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. I will manage a timer to go off at the 3-minute mark. If you've not already signed up to speak, you can sign up by virtually raising your hand. Those calling in can raise their hands by dialing *9. Depending on your version of Zoom, the raise hand function has its own tab or is located within the reactions tab. In order to allow those testifying to turn on their cameras, I will promote you to full panelist when it's your turn to testify. I will call on your name or phone number when it is your turn to testify, and a window will appear asking you to accept being promoted to a panelist. Once you click to accept, your Zoom window will close for just a brief moment before you rejoin as a panelist, where you'll be able to turn on your camera if you like. After your 3 minutes of testimony, I will change your role back to an attendee. As a reminder, you do not need to give your physical address. However, please introduce yourself to the record before testifying.
Thank you so much. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? No, okay. Would anybody like to raise their hand, either their actual hand in the room or online?
Madam Chair, may I ask those who testified under general testimony whether they would like their comments to be recorded under the budget public hearing as well?
Oh, very sure. Yes, sure.
Okay, great. We will make sure for the record to note that we did receive three and a half public comments this morning that should be reflected in our budget discussion for the record. Thank you. Seeing no more testimony, I'm going to close our public hearing and remind everyone that the vote to adopt the budget is scheduled for June 13th, 2024, again, with the budget amendments likely being voted on the week ahead of time. Andrew Scott, our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, will bring us home with the COO communication. Okay. Councilor Communication. Councilor Simpson.
Report back, Urban Flood Safety Water Quality District. We got it through. We passed. That is a $300 million project that the citizens here in this region have awarded to our people, and we can get work going on that levee system out on Marine Drive. So that is a huge accomplishment. I want to thank my predecessor, Councilor Craddock. I know she worked tirelessly on this during her tenure here. And I want to thank a lot of the community folks, Bob Sullinger and others who have been a big voice and champion of making sure this projects get through. I also want to lift up our partners in the business community, labor community, and the nonprofit space as well, because they helped us get here. So thank you to everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody who lives in a flood zone.
Right.
And to our airport.
Right.
Yeah. And to our Expo Center.
And our Expo Center in Blue Lake.
Yep. Congrats to the region.
Right.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Thanks, Chair Lewis, and Councilor Simpson. Just congratulations, and you worked really hard on that, and thank you for representing Metro on such an important effort. Thank you for your leadership. Want to provide a quick update to the council. A few of us were up bright and early for our JPAC meeting today. I think Councilor Rosenthal was awake too, listening in. She sent me a note, so appreciate you for waking up so early, Councilor, and tuning into the meeting. But high-level overview, we went over 24-27 MTIP program and specifically pulled out a highlight on a bus on shoulder project that ODOT is working on with SMART down on I-205. Talking about different tools in transit to connect communities. We also had a really lengthy discussion with Travis Brower from ODOT on Orgo and Beth Osborne with Transportation for America, overviewing everything from road user charge plan here in Oregon, and also examples of what's happening across the country in different states, different DOTs. It was JPAC was really engaged, asking good questions, and I think our goal of elevating the conversation and developing ownership is going quite well there. So I think there's quite a bit to dig into if folks want to go in and watch the recording. And lastly, we did do a short overview on the Regional Flexible Fund Allocation Program, which we shorthand to RUFA. Has multiple steps. We're considering bonding. We have a redistribution funds that we want to accelerate out the door. So there's a whole bunch of different things happening with that. I know that final approval of RUFA will require a council approval, so we want to make sure everyone feels included, up to date, and gets to voice their desires for this flexible funding for transportation projects. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks. Good meeting this morning.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Councilor Rosenthal.
Yeah, I think I'll just comment, you need more meetings like that. There's more to be discussed. I just want to make a brief note about the Natural Areas Oversight Committee met. The first time it's met since it's had 7 new members. Two things. First of all, Will Cortez, who is the Parks and Nature ADA construction project manager, gave a very spirited and very thorough evaluation and plan for how we're addressing ADA requirements, and he should be complimented. He brings a great deal of spirit and a great deal of knowledge to the project. But one of the things that is probably worth noting is that there are 2 acts. ADA applies to the constructed facilities such as restrooms and the parking lots. It does not apply to the trails, and we make efforts to make the trails also accessible. That comes under the American Barriers Act, which is not mandatory like the ADA, but we try and comply with that. It has to do with access for wheelchairs through gates and trails and things like that. So we're paying attention to both, and I think that's something that Parks and Nature should be commended for.
Thank you, Counselor. You want to share news from Tuesday?
Oh, did something happen Tuesday?
Something happened Tuesday.
Thank you. You're stuck with me for another 4 years.
Oh, I'm stuck with all of you for another 4 years. So congratulations to counselors who won election. Two of you, one here, one
Something
there.
else happened.
And I want to thank the voters of the region.
Yes.
Thank you, voters, for putting your trust in us.
I want to make a comment on that. There were 3 members up for re-election, and none of the elections were contested. And I've asked people whether they think that's because we're doing such a great job or because people don't really know what we're doing. I have not got a clear answer on that yet.
Counselor, I think they know how hard the work is and they don't want to do it. But I just want to thank voters in the region in all seriousness. The work that we did, building up a year and a half of work planning what we need to do at the zoo to maintain our accreditation, to take care of animal welfare, to make habitat, to take care of preserving species that are on the brink of extinction, all while offering family fun, tourism economy supporting facilities. That work has paid off in spades because the voters did say yes. The voters in Washington County, Councilor Gonzalez, Councilor Rosenthal, said yes the most. But voters said yes, and we will get straight to work. I'm led to believe we'll have an RFP hitting the streets for the first project sometime in the next month. So let's go do this thing. Councilor Gonzalez, then Councilor Rosenthal, then Councilor Nolan.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't celebrate the Zoo Bond without celebrating your leadership, Councilor Lewis, for all your hard work on the council side and on the Zoo Foundation board, but also when we clock out and are doing the work on the campaign side. You really carried this effort, and just a huge thanks to you that now we have this money to program and for the zoo and for generations of all the things, right? I also didn't want to not do counselor communications without celebrating State of the Region yesterday. And I know a lot of us were there. And I got to say, it's one of the best speeches I've ever seen President Peterson give for as long as I've known her. And it was just a inspiring session of diving into ideas, maybe starting to nail down on some difficult conversations that we need to have as a region. But in general, it was really positive, and wanted to thank staff and City Club for helping facilitate that at the wonderful theater.
Thank you, Counselor. I echo that.
Yep.
Okay.
He stole my thunder, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the thanks.
We're all.
Everybody did something. Nobody did nothing.
Oh, sister, take this.
I did a lot. Thank you. I see no further discussion, so I'm gonna.
Right.
Oh wait, Councilor Rosenthal.
Yeah, I wanted to add 2 points. One point is I want a special shout out to Councilor Jeanette Shaw from Tigard, who took zoo materials and handed them out at their farmers market, even though they had a ballot measure for a public safety levy. So I want to give her special credit for that. That was wonderful. And then I also want to highlight something we don't highlight very much. We have dealt with heat domes and heat situations, and this year is supposed to be hotter than we expect. One of the key things of the Zoo Bond that is going to do is going to enhance and make the entryway where people gather. And as anybody's been there in the morning, there's a lot of little kiddos in prams, and better accommodations for people getting together and meeting and joining up so that they don't have to endure pure asphalt heat is something that we often don't emphasize. It's going to be a much better experience, I think, for the families that come.
Absolutely. Hear, hear. Now I see no further discussion, so I really will adjourn us. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 28th of May, 10:30 a.m. See you there. Have a great day.